In this class, we will study adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of frequency in English are crucial words we use to indicate how often or how regularly an action occurs. Okay, they are essential for making everyday speech flow as they situate the action in the time relative to its periodicity. In English, these words are crucial from providing context about the frequency of a sentence. They not only tell us what happened, but also how regularly it happens, indicating whether it's sometimes, that always, never, sometimes, often, etc. As the net indicates and the text indicates, adverbs of frequency are flexible and can modify different elements of the sentence. They modify the verb, the action. These are the most common use. They indicate how regularly the main action is performed. Here, the adverb of frequency and the percentage that indicates how often we perform an action. They are ordered from highest to lowest probability of the action occurring. Okay, always first or first adverbs. Always 100% indicates that the action is performed every time without exception. This adverb is at the highest point of the scale. Usually, 90%, this adverb tells us that the action occurs the vast majority of the time. Okay, there may be minor exceptions, but the general rule is compliances. Net frequently 80%. This adverb tells us that the action is common or repeated with high regularity. Next, often 70%. This adverb tells that the action is repeated with high regularity. Next, sometimes 50%. This adverb tells us that the action occurs approximately half of the time or intermittently. Occasionally, 30%. This adverb tells us that the action is sporadic and happens less frequently than sometimes. Seldom, 10%. This adverb means that the action is frequent, uncommon, or almost never happens. Rarity, 10%. This adverb is synonymous with seldom and also tells us that the action is infrequent, uncommon, or almost never happens. Never, 0%. This adverb is at the lowest point in the graph and it tells us that the action is completely absent. Okay? We also have some other adverbs that aren't in the table but are synonymous for others and have the same rule of use in sentence. Some that aren't are normally and generally, which mean normalmente y generalmente, and hardly ever, which means casi nunca. Adverbs of frequency, such as always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, never, etc., modify the action of the sentence to indicate how often it occurs. Okay, the most important rule to learn is the position within the sentence, which varies depending of the type of verb. Let's look at some important rules. Okay, when the sentence uses the verb to be, am, is, are, was, were, okay, as the main verb, the adverb of frequency is placed after the verb to be. Example, she is always late. Okay. If the sentence uses any other main verb, action verbs such as eat, work, go, study, the adverb of frequency is placed before the main verb. Example, I usually have lunch at noon. You should never talk to the strangers. When a sentence contains an auxiliary verb or a modal verb, have, has, will, the adverb of frequency is placed between the auxiliary or modal the and the main verb of should never talk to the strangers. They are some adverbs of frequency and mainly sometimes, usually and occasionally that that can be placed on the beginning of end of the sentence for its emphasis. Example, sometimes I forget my case. Okay. And to ask question, the adverb is usually placed before the main verb or between the subject and the main verb. Okay. Example, do you go there often? When we are going to make a negative using adverbs of frequency, we only use whose adverbs that are at the lowest point of the graph, and that for this reason indicate a total of absence of the action. Okay, to make questions, we consider first in any of the words learned in the previous lesson are being used. If not, we weigh into account the structure. Okay, I'm going to give you a test to better understand the use of adverb of frequency in English.